Hi, I'm Lillian. Welcome back to my channel Inking Pages. This is just going to be a fun little video where I'm going to recommend books using Taylor Swift songs as prompts. I actually had the idea for this video like kind of a while ago and I was going to do it sooner, but then I found out about the Tis the Damn readathon taking place this month, which is the Taylor Swift themed readathon, so I thought it was just perfect timing. I'll do this video in March because it just fits so perfectly. So what I did was I used a random number generator to pick one song from each of her albums, and then I've tried to find a book to match that song, either in terms of like vibes or themes or general atmosphere, or I think it matches in some way in like my internal logic, and I'm going to try and explain that to you. So for her first album, her eponymous debut, Taylor Swift, the song that was chosen for me was the last song, A Perfectly Good Heart. And the book I've chosen to go with this is The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. So obviously this gets points for, you know, having a heart on the cover, so that matches immediately. But also this is like a contemporary YA romance, which I think fits the vibe of the song very well, because she was writing about, you know, teenage heartbreak and teenage relationships, and that's pretty much what this book is about as well. This book is one of my favourites from when I was a teenager. I haven't reread it in quite a while, but I remember it very fondly. It's about a girl called Macy who is like trying very hard to be perfect and be the perfect daughter and have the perfect life when, you know, typically everything's crumbling around the edges. Her dad's recently died before this book starts and everyone's like treating her a bit weird. Her family has quite a lot of problems. Her sisters are going through their own things, and Macy is trying to like paper over the cracks and continue like everything is perfect, but obviously it isn't. And there's also romance. It's been so long, I actually don't remember the name of the romantic interest, but I do remember the themes of like friendship and family that are also very strong within this book. And it has moments that like kind of stuck out to me, like little random moments that I find myself thinking about. I remember there was a character in here who buys like an old ambulance as his car, and like he can't return it, like once he drives it off the lot, it's his forever and he can't return it, and he's like a really cautious, slow driver. And I think about him quite often just in everyday life. So this book just has a lot of those like sweet little moments, sweet themes and characters, and I just remember really enjoying it, and I think it matches really well with this song. For her second album, Fearless, the song that was chosen was Forever and Always, so I have matched this with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. Hear me out. Okay, you might be thinking, what on earth is that book and the song, what do they have in common? I will tell you. The song is kind of about, you know, the breakdown of a relationship, and in the beginning of this book there's a breakdown of a relationship and the blossoming of another one. I don't know why I'm being coy. I'm pretty sure like you know what I'm talking about. You probably know what I'm talking about. In case you don't know, this is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. Well, it's not really a trilogy anymore, series by Sarah J Maas. It's about, you know, fae and humans, and it's like such a guilty pleasure read of mine. I can say with all honesty, it's like not technically a great series, but it's so fun, and I've actually been in such a mood to reread it lately because the like fourth book in the no longer a trilogy, now a series, has just come out, A Court of Silver Flames, and I have to say I have no urge to read that book. I think it's like incredibly ugly. The cover is so bad, and it follows two of the characters from this series who like I never liked, never in a million years thought, oh, I'd love to read a whole book about them. But the first three books, I really want to reread them, and I'm trying to think of ways to like sneak them into readathons that I'm going to be taking part in the next few months. And even if I can't sneak them in, I might just reread them anyway for fun. But yes, that is the book I'm matching with Forever and Always. Her next album is Speak Now, and the song that was chosen was Long Live, and the book I've picked to match this is What a Time to Be Alone by Chidera Eguru. This choice also takes a little bit of explaining, so again, bear with me. So the song Long Live conjures up all these ideas of, you know, a big happy ending, happy memories, like success, surrounded by the people that you love and like all your friends and family, and it's just like a very happy, heartwarming, successful vibe. And so this book kind of appears to be the opposite, but I'm picking it because it's all about how to achieve those same feelings while, you know, in your own company, whether that means, you know, you're single or you're spending time by yourself, like anything along those lines. It's kind of like part advice, part anecdotes, and it's just sort of trying to emphasize how you can find, you know, fulfillment in your own company, and that you need to work on yourself and your own self-development in order to be truly happy. Like, if you're only getting happiness and feelings of contentment from outside sources, then that's never really going to be enough to be self-sustaining, and you might find yourself having to be because of various circumstances. So I really enjoyed this book when I read it. I'm someone who's very introverted, loves spending time on my own, and really can't get enough of it. But I think other people could also get a lot out of this book. So yeah, my hope is that if you read this book and you like it, you'll be able to get those same like cozy, happy, fulfilling vibes that Long Live is full of just from your own company. Okay, the next album is Red, and the song from this one was I Knew You Were Trouble. So I have gone with the Rat Queens graphic novel series. This series I think has gone through quite a lot of changes in like the author and the artist, so I can't list them all here off the top of my head for you. And I will say that I've only read the first 3 because after the 3rd one they like left it on this big cliffhanger but then never addressed it. They sort of retconned it and pretended it didn't happen. So I have only read the first 3, but the first 3 are really good. It's about this group of mercenaries called the Rat Queens, and it's full of their, you know, shenanigans and chaotic things they get up to. And it's also full of like friendship, female friendship in particular, and loyalty. And it's just a whole lot of fun. And I think I Knew You Were Trouble is just like the perfect phrase to encapsulate the main characters in this series. But it's set in this fantasy world, and all of the 4 main characters are like kind of like different magical like races. So one of them's an elf, one of them's a dwarf. I think one of them might just be human. Oh no, I think she's a witch maybe? But anyway, they are, yeah, chaotic and insane and so much fun. For 1989, which is arguably maybe my favourite Taylor Swift album, I haven't quite worked it out yet, but like it's top 3 at least. The song that was chosen was Out of the Woods, so I have gone with Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, which yes, is an obvious similarity in the title. And aside from that, I think both the song and the book share this feeling of like uneasiness throughout the whole thing. So the song is kind of like a sad story about how like being paranoid in a relationship and constantly asking like, are we okay? Is everything fine? Like feeling like something is wrong. And in the song it turns out to be completely unfounded. But in this book, that ease and that dread and the creeping atmosphere is very much there throughout the whole thing, and it's very much justified. This is a graphic novel of like several shorter stories, and they're all told in slightly different styles of illustration, and they're all super creepy. So this is like a fantastic Halloween season read, and it was good even for me who does not like horror stories, does not particularly like scary things at all. I really enjoyed this. So then we have Reputation, and again I think this album like is one of my absolute favourites from her, but the song that was chosen is I Did Something Bad, and so I have chosen Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. I just think they match so perfectly. It's all about, you know, doing bad things for fun, being a little bit villainous, a little bit chaotic. This is about Nimona, who is a shapeshifter who kind of foists herself upon this supervillain to be his assistant. And at first he's kind of like, I don't really need an assistant, but then they got on really well and they do lots of chaotic things together, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And there's quite a lot of like grey morality within the book, and you know, people who everyone think are evil are actually maybe not that bad, and then the people who everyone thinks are the heroes and the goodies again like aren't that great. And it actually has like some quite deep and emotional moments in it, which I really wasn't expecting at the beginning. It starts as this kind of light-hearted lark, but by the end of it, yeah, it gets really emotional, and it's actually my favourite graphic novel like of all time. And this idea of doing bad things for fun just so perfectly encapsulates Nimona. Okay, so the next album is Lover, and so with this I have gone with The Best We Could Do by T. Bui. I've chosen this because while it doesn't centre on like, you know, romance or romantic relationship, it's very much about interpersonal relationships, particularly family. It's kind of a graphic memoir, but I would say actually focuses more on the author's parents, because it's all about their time growing up in Vietnam and then meeting each other and starting a family, but then all having to escape as refugees during the Vietnam War and going to America. And it talks about how traumatic that experience was for everyone involved, and the like destabilizing effects it can have on you and your relationships. And that just reminded me of the line, I've been the archer, I've been the prey. And so this looks at relationships during and then after trauma and trying to overcome them and build a stable foundation for your family, and in some cases failing to. And overall this just has a very similar bittersweet theme to it that I think the song also has. So though it might sound like a bit of an out of left field recommendation, I really think they do match. And next we have Folklore, and the song chosen for this one was Cardigan. So I have gone with Ballet Shoes by Noel Streatfeild. I thought to match this song I would pick something like slightly old-fashioned, maybe like a classic with very familiar cozy vibes, and that's exactly how I feel about this book. This is like maybe like a modern classic. I think it was written in the 30s about three sisters who are all adopted by the same guy, and just their life growing up, and one of them wants to be an actress and one of them wants to be a pilot, I think, and one of them wants to be a ballet dancer. And it follows them in their childhood and the different things they do, and it's quite a simple story, but it's like really sweet and really familiar. It's one of my favourite classics. That's not a very long list, I know, but even for someone who doesn't like classics that much, this book is really, really good. And for me, it just has this irreplaceable coziness to it, which I think matches the vibe of Cardigan very nicely. Okay, and for her last album, Evermore, the song was This Is Where You Left Me, which is probably my favourite of the album, and I have gone with Touch by Claire North. This is a science fiction thriller, I would say, about someone who's kind of like a consciousness without a body, and they can move between bodies by a single touch. So you might be thinking, what on earth does that have to do with the song? It's kind of a tenuous interpretation, I'll admit, but you know, it's like right where you left me. So when this person, Kepler, goes into someone's body, it's kind of like they completely take over and that person's consciousness is kind of like shut away for a bit, and then once they move into the next person's body, that person is back again and is like, what happened? Like they can't remember anything that's happened while Kepler was sort of inhabiting them. So that is my reasoning for why this book matches. I have loved all but one of the Claire North books I've read. This was really, really excellent. It was so interesting and so exciting. And I will say about Claire North is that when she has an idea for a book, she doesn't just, you know, come up with an idea and then write it like surface level. You can tell she's thought about it, and she's thought about all the loopholes and done, well, what ifs, and like, well, if this happens, that implies that X will happen. And then she's worked on that, and it's all so well thought out and developed as a concept. I just absolutely adored it. So that, yeah, was my final recommendation for this video. I had quite a lot of fun doing it, but I will say some of these were much harder to match than others. So if you think I have made a huge mistake and missed an obvious book recommendation for any of these songs, please let me know. I would like to know, because yeah, it was quite hard coming up with some of them. And I hope that if any of you are also taking part in the Tis the Damn Readathon, it's going well for you. I'm on my second book now, a little bit behind schedule, but I'm making up for it. It's all good, I have a plan. And if you feel like it, also let me know what your favourite Taylor Swift album is, or what your least favourite is. I won't judge. We've all been there. I mean, they can't all be perfect. They can be close, but they can't all be perfect. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!